Evening, folks. It's King's Drummer with a different type of vinyl video. I have a problem, a big problem. I am just too addicted to vinyl, and I'll let you know what's going on. It's Friday night, as I'm sitting here in front of the camera. Friday night. It's been a long work week. I was just pretty burnt out because I worked hard all week, and on Friday buy a couple cold beers. And my plan was to just visit older records in the collection and just chill out and get a good buzz on, and then retire for the evening was my plan. But I decided to hit the vinyl store and kind of peruse the $1.50 bins to see if maybe I could take 5 or 6 interesting records home with me and spend less than $10 doing it. So I thought, I'll do that, then I'll get the 2 beers, and then I'll come home. Visit older records in the collection, get a good buzz on, retire for the evening. Until I found this one album, and it's a somewhat recent new album, and I saw it in the bin. I had no idea that this thing was on vinyl. I thought it was CD and download only, and I was like, wow, really? And I looked at the price tag, and I was like, really? You want that much for it? That was way more than I was hoping to spend this evening. So I left it in the bin and kind of went through all the cheap records, didn't really find anything that I wanted, and the ones that jumped out at me I already fucking had. And so I started going through the CDs and the DVDs, which lately I don't do much of. I'm stalling because I'm thinking, God, do I really want to spend this much on this one record? Eventually I decided, yeah, I want to do it. I mean, I did all the math in my head, what the budget looks like till my next check. How much? Can I afford this? I got another special order vinyl on its way that I paid for earlier. That's going to be real special once it gets here. I broke down and got it because I do like this album. I have it on CD, but I don't have it on vinyl, and the vinyl is so special. So I busted down and bought it. Spent more than I wanted to spend, but you know what? Now I sit here and look at it in all its glory. I'm glad I did. I'm actually glad I bought this. It is Van Halen, A Different Kind of Truth, the brand new, well, not brand new, but month and a half or so old album from Van Halen. There it is, the deluxe version, the gatefold version, with David Lee Roth back as lead singer. A new studio record, something we haven't had since 1984. And if you see this cover, it's a well-made cover. It's overlaying. They kind of look like it's in this train thing is in 3D. I know it's going to be hard to see on camera, but trust me, it's a great looking cover. And it is a gatefold record. There we go. There's the gatefold. I'll put it a little closer so you can see, because it's these custom-made handwritten lyrics from David Lee Roth for all the songs on this new album. And that glare. But just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So those of you thinking about buying this can make up your minds here. The original artwork and handwritten lyrics for all the songs by David Lee Roth. Pretty cool, the gatefold. And it's printed on 180 gram vinyl. And just like Derek 3, it is on this gorgeous red vinyl. Look at that. Awesome. And there's the custom label of the train. Side 2. It's a beautiful red vinyl. And same thing, custom of the train. Just badass. Beautiful looking record. 180 gram. Like Derek's record, you put the needle on it, not a bit of surface noise. Just quiet record, and nothing but pure Eddie Van Halen, Alex Van Halen, David Lee Roth, Wolfgang Van Halen, just pounding their way out of the speakers. Really nice. The second record, looks just like the first record. But same label, so I won't really show both sides. But just to give you an idea, red vinyl. There's the label. Very nice, 2-record set, and you know, I guess I had this on DVD, CD, and some good rockin' songs on here. When I first heard the first single, which is called Tattoo, I was not impressed. I'm still not a very big fan of the song Tattoo, which was the first single. But when I heard She's a Woman, Chinatown, Blood and Fire, You and Your Blues, Trouble with Never, you know, Big River, Stay Frosty, Beats Workin', those songs really kick some ass. And so yeah, I was hooked on this album. Like I said, I wasn't a fan of the debut single, but the rest of the songs of this album sound really good. They are unfinished songs from older demos. I know Tattoo, I think, was written in late 70s and was never used on a Van Halen record until now. So they're kind of recycling old ideas that were never used before. The song Blood and Fire used to be instrumental from the soundtrack from a movie called The Wildlife. In fact, I still have the MP3 of the original version without vocals. It was just an instrumental, and you know, when I first heard it, I said to myself, you know, I like it better as an instrumental. But over time, David Lee Roth's vocals warmed up to me, and I still like it as the instrumental more, but the song Blood and Fire with the vocals are pretty good. So I'm real happy I bought this record for 40 bucks. 40 bucks, man. And I checked online. Amazon had it for the same price. The Van Halen website had it for something like 45 bucks, or the Van Halen News Desk is what it's called. And they had it for 45 bucks. So I paid what it's going for, but I'm happy with this. I love this album, and I listen to it. Sounds kick-ass, and I'm happy to own a different kind of Truth by Van Halen. So really good. Really inspired me to want to show the rest of my Van Halens. I'm sure everybody has seen these records. There's the first album. I remember hearing this for the first time when I was in high school. I was a freshman in high school, and a friend of mine made me a cassette of it, and I was just blown away by this. So he made me that one, and a friend of mine also made me this one, Van Halen 2. So I had these. So here I am, just in 9th grade, in the mid-'80s, and a friend makes me a copy on cassette, and ever since then, I was hooked. I was hooked. I loved all things Van Halen after that. So there's Van Halen 2. My beat-up copy that I need to upgrade of Women and Children First. I almost forgot the name of this damn record. The one thing that always comes to mind when I look at this record is the song Everybody Wants Some. If a lot of the 80s kids can remember, there was a movie called Better Off Dead with John Cusack. There was a dream section where it was a claymation part of a claymation little cartoon of a movie of a singing hamburger singing the song Everybody Wants Some. So, and then there's a singing hamburger, and he even has the Eddie Van Halen Frankenstein guitar. It's pretty cool. In fact, there's a picture of the Frankenstein guitar that I'm talking about right here. So, God, that glare drives me nuts. But anyway, I just remember the movie from Better Off Dead, the claymation hamburger, singing hamburger thing. Oh, it always makes me think of this album. It always makes me think of that when I see this album. So, Women and Children First. The song Romeo Delight is on there as well. That's another one of my favorites from that record. And here is my favorite Van Halen record from the David Lee Roth era. Fair Warning. Oi, this is a good album. Oi. This I will take out. Mean Streets, Unchained, Hear About It Later. So this is Love, Sunday Afternoon in the Park, Sinner's Swing. This is a damn good album. This is known as the Guitarist album. This is where Eddie Van Halen pretty much had full range, made a lot of the decisions on the songwriting, and you know, it's a good album. It's a good album. And in my last video, I showed Diver Down, so I won't show it in this collection because I showed it once already. But I do have Diver Down on vinyl. In fact, hold on, let me go hunt it out real fast. Sorry about that, folks. But just to be a completist, I guess I'll hunt it down for you. Alright, sorry about that. But here's Diver Down. Now, I already gave this a verbal thrashing, so everybody knows my opinion on this, but it's here. And the great 1984. This is such a great record. I love this album. You know, No Jump over time hasn't been that, you know, I don't think it's that awesome. But you know, I really love the drum sound of Alex Van Halen in here. They mixed a good drum sound for him on this record. You can really hear it, especially, of course, on Hot for Teacher, but Drop Dead Legs. You can really hear the drums. Girl Gone Bad. It really sounds great. The drum sounds fantastic on that. House of Pain. Drums sound great on that one. There we are, Warner Brothers Records. Really love this album. I'll Wait was one of my favorite songs of 1984, the year and the album. Because I love the tom fills in that. As a drummer, and I think when this album came out, I wasn't even playing drums yet, but I used to listen to this tape in my brother's car. My brother had like a big car stereo system, so he would bump the hell out of this album, and every time I would hear the drums on this, it really made me want to be a drummer. So, you know, there was Stuart Copeland, there was Alex Van Halen, and Phil Collins. You know, watching all these guys and actually made me want to become a drummer. So I think of that whenever I see this album. It's just the great drum sound Alex Van Halen got on this sound. In fact, there's the man right there, Alex Van Halen. Very underrated drummer because he's in a band with Eddie. All the attention goes to Eddie. Unfortunately, he doesn't get the credit of how cool a drummer he is. Okay, another favorite of the Van Halen records is 5150. This has been shown on the VC a few times. I've seen a few people show this album off. This and Fair Warning are my favorite Van Halen records. I never get tired of listening to these. It's the beginning of the Hagar era that a lot of people are not a big fan of. But you know, I gotta admit, I loved what Sammy Hagar's vocals brought to this band. You know, Summer Nights and the song 5150 are my favorite on this record. But there's Get Up, there's Why Can't This Be Love, there's Dreams, Love Walks In, but there's also the title track, which I can't remember the name of it right now. Good Enough, there we go. Memory's terrible. And it's such a great album. Such a good fun time summer record. When I answered Tim's thread, I put this up there with favorite summer record. And then one to follow that was 812. I remember my memories of this album is when this was about to come out. The very first single was a song called Black and Blue. And the local rock and roll radio station here played it. They didn't announce it was Van Halen. So basically you're hearing Black and Blue for the first time. They didn't announce it like, oh, here's the new song from Van Halen. They just played it. And, you know, when I heard it, you know, I just thought, well, there's an interesting guitar part. Never heard this song before. And as soon as I heard the drums come in and how they're mixed and how they're recorded and how they're played, I instantly knew it was Van Halen before the vocals even kicked in. And that's how well I know Van Halen. Because Alex Van Halen's drum sound is so individual. It's the way he mics it. I just know it's him. And same thing with Phil Collins, you know, the way he plays and the way he mixes the drum sound. Even if I don't know the song, I hear those drums, I automatically know it's him, or Genesis, one of the two. Same thing with Alex Van Halen's drum sound. When I first heard Black and Blue for the very first time, yeah, I knew it was him. It also has a song, AFU, Naturally Wired, which is one of my favorite songs from the Van Hagar era. Sucker in a Three Piece is a great song. Source of Infection is great. Mine All Mine is an awesome tune. And there's the hits, like When It's Love, which I gotta admit, when it was first released, I did like it. You know, over time, not my favorite, but this was a good record. And this is the first time I saw Van Halen in concert. That summer of '88, they organized the Monsters of Rock tour, and it was Kingdom Come, Metallica, Dokken, the Scorpions, and Van Halen, all in one show. And I bought tickets to that just before I turned 18. It was the day before I turned 18 at Candlestick Park in San Francisco, and that was my introduction to Van Halen live. It was the first time I ever seen him live, and it was an all-day show. It started at noon. It was over at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock. 10-hour show, 10-hour concert. But it was awesome. It was the loudest show I've ever been to in my life. That PA was the loudest I've ever heard. And it was the wildest crowd I've been to in my life. So many fights, so many chicks walking around pretty much naked. It was an awesome show. So when you're a kid just turning 18, that's a good show to be in. And the last album I have on vinyl from Van Halen is Unlawful, Carnal Knowledge. This is a killer album too. Pound Cake, Judgment Day, Runaround, Right Now, Top of the World, The Dream Is Over, 316. This is a great album, Man on a Mission. This is a powerhouse record. One of another favorites of mine from Van Halen. I saw two shows on this tour, both in Sacramento, and they were all killer. I think in the Van Hagar era, I think this is the best they've ever sounded live was when they were promoting this record. And it was such a good album, and sounds great on vinyl too. Sounds absolutely fantastic on vinyl. So it's a tough one to hunt. It's a tough one to hunt down, but if you find it, it is so worth it. Still on the lookout for the album Balance. I've seen it online a few times, but it fetches quite a hefty price tag, so haven't really broke down and got it yet. Maybe if I rob a bank one of these days, I'll go get it. But for now, I'm cut off at that one and the latest one. So missing a few in between, but I think Van Halen 3 wasn't that desirable. Just to show you how big of a Van Halen nut I am, I collected I don't even play guitar, but yet collected Guitar World magazine every time Eddie's on the cover. This was February of 1995, so this interview dealt with the release of Balance. And let me see if I could find a picture of Eddie in here. Ah, there we go. So 1985 interview on Guitar World magazine with Eddie Van Halen. Another picture of him there. So I did like me some Van Halen, and then these are all I could find. I'm sure I have more, but these are all I could find for right now. Eddie Van Halen on Guitar Magazine. This is my final word. This interview discusses him kicking out Sammy Hagar out of the band and entering Gary Cherone, which was such a popular, album with Van Halen fans. Yeah, right. Anyway, there's the story. And it just gives a timeline of when things went good and when things went very, very bad. And bands are just not meant to stay together. That's just how it is. So, anyway, a few guitar magazines, and Van Halen does have an unofficial fan magazine called The Inside, and I have a few copies of that as well. This cover's seen better days, but it captures the golden years of Van Halen. well, the early years, I mean. And let me find a good picture. There we go. Something vintage. There we go. Love that one. And you know, this told inside stories, some rare photos, and just little knickknacks that you would expect from a fan magazine, a fanzine. So pretty cool, that one. And of course, this one is from 1997 when the Van Halen 3 lineup came up. But it has a very funny picture in the back from the early years, a Christmas picture from the early years of Van Halen. I really love this band, and here we go from yesteryear to 1987. Oh, 1995, excuse me. So, a lot has happened in all things Van Halen. Good picture of Alex Van Halen there. So, the inside, real cool fan magazine for all things Van Halen. I'll show you the last one. This one was the announcement of the Van Halen 3 lineup with Gary Sharon as their new lead singer. Nice picture of the back of the Van Halen brothers here. Really cool picture. You know, it's so many good memories of Van Halen. Me and my brother were big Van Halen fans. We went to a lot of Van Halen shows together. Actually, me and both my brothers. I have two brothers, and for the Unlawful Carnal Knowledge Tour, both my brothers went with me to see Van Halen. That was actually a fun show to go to show with both your brothers. It was nice, and it was the last time all of us went to a show together. So there we go. The Van Halen fan magazine. Got a bunch of these, but I just wanted to whip out a few just to show you guys. This is where I got the idea to get my Van Halen tattoo. As you can see, that's a picture of Eddie. There's this Wolfgang tattoo. And so I stole his idea and got my own. So there we go. Except mine doesn't say Wolfgang, but... And that's going to do it, folks. A 20-minute video, just me blabbing about Van Halen. Shoot, I could have showed you concert tickets. I should have showed you the live videos, the bootlegs. I got some bootlegs of the old Van Halen from the early 80s on DVD video, Pro Shot. I got one from Buenos Aires, Argentina. I got one from Largo, Maryland. And I got one from the US Festival in California during 1983. So, got quite a David Lee Roth era bootlegs. Some Sammy and some Gary Sharon as well. Just got to find a decent bootleg of this current tour they're on. I've seen some online, but it's such a wicked 8-gig download. Ugh. Don't know if I want to have the patience to do that, so I'm waiting for a smaller one. Anyway, that's going to do it for King. Real excited to finally got Different Kind of Truth from Van Halen. It's a beautiful record, and it's an awesome kick-ass album. And if you stuck with me this long, I really thank you, and I really appreciate it, because I know it's hard to sit through 20-minute videos of me babbling. But thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you at the next video.